Welcome students to this session on operations management. In this session, we will be discussing about facility location, which comes under module 3. Capacity and facility locations are one of the major decisions that have to be undertaken by organizational managers or decision makers. What are the different factors that make a particular facility more attractive over others? What are the different parameters that I have to look upon if I have to select a particular facility? Are there any techniques or methods to select a particular facility when different alternatives are given? So we will be discussing about these points in this session. Facility location. What is facility location? Facility location can be seen as a place where space may be set up for the production of goods and services. So it is a place or a space where you intend to start your production of goods and services. The need for facility location may arise due to the following factors. Now, why do we require a good facility? We require a good facility or a facility location because of the following factors or following reasons. One, start of a new business. You are now starting a new business, could be totally new, or if you'll run parallelly with some old venture or old business. So for a new business, you may require a separate facility or a new facility to start a new business. So when you start a new business, that is one of the reasons for a new facility location. Second is the same business which you are into may require some expansion. So you are now into, say, the production of, say, components A for a particular assembly, and you may tomorrow find opportunity to make component B of the same final assembly that you are going to produce. Or it could be expansion based on something that you have been procuring from outside. So you feel that if you make that product yourself at your premises rather than buying it from outside, it is more economical. So you might need to have an expansion of the existing production facility. So that could be one reason for you to look out for a new location. Next, unanticipated or anticipated growth in volume of production. The demand has grown up because of changing market conditions, customer preferences, and as a result, the volume of production goes up, and you feel it's impossible for you, or it becomes very difficult, or it's not economical for you to produce in the existing facility. There is a requirement of a new facility now. So that could be one of the factors which govern your requirement for a new facility location. Expiry of the lease of land. The current location, yes, the lease has expired. Your landlord has asked you to move out, correct? You were on rent or on lease of a particular land. The lease, the duration, the agreement says by the end of this term, the land expiry date of the land happens. So you have to now leave this land and go to a new facility or new location. So that could be another reason. Social or economic reasons. That could be social or economic reasons. The present place is very costly. You are not able to afford the rent of the existing location. So you might want to go to some other place which is more affordable. Or the social interaction here is secluded, far away from a potential market area. So you would like now to shift to a place which is much more closer to the market area. so that the transportation costs can be reduced. Those are the social and economical reasons. What are the different factors which affect facility location? One is definitely any organization requires some inputs to run, correct? And one of the primary utilities, utility means something that is essential for the existence of an organization, is power. In whatever form, whatever source it may take power from, the power is required for proper functioning of the company. So the first factor which, of course, these factors are not in order of priority, these are just listed randomly. So don't think power is the sole priority factor. These factors are based written randomly, not in a particular order of their rank of utilities, correct? Availability of power. Say organization which runs its manufacturing production process continuously would like to have a power facility or a power source which will supply power to it without any interruption, so that the process of production does not stop. So availability of power is a very important point. Transportation. Often we have seen organizations themselves develop the transportation schemes. Say organizations start their activities on the outskirts of town cities, and if the transportation facility is not up to the mark, is not developed, the organization will have to look at some internal transportation system. But it's always better to base your facility or a location at a point where the transportation system is good. It is accessible both by roadways, railways, seaways, or through airways. Wherever you have a facility or a location that you're going to base upon, check this particular box. The transportation facility should be, if not great, at least should be accessible to it. So there should be an accessibility to the location through proper transportation means channels. Proximity to suppliers, very important. Suppliers are the backbone of any industry or any organization. So proximity of suppliers. So if you are into say manufacturing of say automobiles, for example, if you go to Gurgaon, Maruti Suzuki, right, or any other automobile organization, it always has its suppliers. Its base is based on a location or in a location which is in very close proximity to the suppliers. You can see all the ancillary units which supply ancillary parts or the components required for the final assembly. Those are all located nearby to this automobile industry. Similarly, if you're talking about, say, an oil refinery, for example, all the accessory units, all the units which supply components, both in terms of machinery or the process, they are in close proximity to suppliers. So it's always beneficial if the suppliers are nearby. Right? The suppliers are nearby. You don't know when the demand may get dynamic, and if and nowadays you've seen time is of primary importance, correct? If your competitor supplies to a customer, say just before you supply, then he will score a point over yourself, which means time is of utmost importance for the supply of materials. So proximity to suppliers, nearer the suppliers, faster they can supply, provided your relationship with the supplier is good, provided the terms and conditions are properly followed, provided the rapport between yourself and the supplier is good. That's also a very important point. Your human relationship, interrelationships between the supplier and the purchaser also is very important. So proximity to suppliers, nearness to suppliers in terms of distance, that is a factor in which affects the facility location process. Similarly, if suppliers are the backbone, what is market? Market is where you actually tend to sell. Market is one which generates revenue for you. Correct? So you should be near to the market also. When we discuss about proximity to suppliers, the other end of the continuum, which is the market, proximity to market. If you have to supply the products to the customers in time, you should have proper transportation, And also the proximity should be good. Proximity here doesn't only refer to the geographical distance, it also refers to the connectivity with the customer. The place might be far away, but if you are well connected it through good means of transportation or through good network, then that becomes, so proximity here refers both to geographical nearness, locational nearness, as well as the relationship between the company, parent company, and the market. So nearness to market or proximity to market is also equally important. Availability of labor. Now we can see certain states in India. If you see now presently, if you just have a survey done of the number of labor class in Karnataka to this around this time, 70% of the labor comes from the northeastern states of India, especially West Bengal or or Orissa or the northeast. Now, availability of labor depends on the availability of work for the laborers. Correct. So the more dynamic the economy is in terms of operations, more labor will be attracted towards them. Also, there are other factors like wages, for example. Labor might be available in different states, but the wage system is also very important. Wage here refers to the daily uh, monetary returns that the laborers get when they complete a particular job. So availability of labor is another very important point. Why do most of these laborers come from outside states to a particular state, like say for Karnataka? Because there are more operations that are done on a daily basis. The wage system here is much more structured. Wage system, living amenities is better here. Living amenities, the daily living amenities is better. So all these things matter when you select a facility location. Government policies, very important. Government policies should not be too rigid nor too relaxed. What do you mean by, how can this be a factor for a facility location? You don't want to go, and I don't want to name some states, but in some states, if you observe, especially in some states of our country, very few industries exist. Very few industries exist because of the political policies, the government policies that underlie that particular region. Correct? So what happens? There is a dramatic shift of people as well as the facilities from that particular state to some other state. Correct? So government policies should be one of the major factors for affecting a facility location. You don't want to go and locate your industry in a state which is too strict, where there are constant disruptions. Every other day there is a agitation. Every day there is a, you know, these policies are actually dependent on the choice of facilities. For example, if I can take an example of a particular organization or a particular industry which is into food processing. Now the sentiments of the people there, sentiments of the people, the local people, the society there is also is important. Suitability of climate, civic amenities, availability of water and other firefighting facilities. These all come together. We were discussing about government policy. As I told you, some states are very liberal in their policies, some are very rigid. Next, suitability of climate. Now, certain climatic conditions, say pharmaceutical companies, for example, now they require good ventilation systems. Of course, you can have an AC. Nowadays, you can have artificial climate conditioning systems, correct? But think about certain products which have to be made in a particular climate, in a particular climate. For example, your manufacturing of your firecrackers that you see, no? Firecrackers, you use it for festivals. Firecrackers, they are made in a particular place called Shivakashi in Tamil Nadu. You know why? Because the suitability of climate for making those explosives. So explosives here refer to the firecrackers. I'm talking about firecrackers, the general firecrackers which you are using for festivals. They are made in Shivakashi because the relative humidity there, humidity levels at Shivakashi is very less. very less. It's a very dry place. So, so the system or the climate there suits the manufacturing or production of firecrackers there, because it requires a very dry environment. Very dry environment. Correct? So what happens if the humidity levels rise, then your firecrackers will not work. Correct? If they get moist, if they get humid, if they get some moisture content in them. Similarly, if you can give the example of say food processing industries, food processing industries. So food processing industries are more based in climates which are much more cooler, because the packaging there, lesser the climate, the chances of the food items getting deteriorating becomes less. Of course, artificial air conditioning, artificial ventilation systems have come into picture now. So this climate suitability of climate now is actually uh, not that not taken on that priority, but still suitability of climate is important when we discuss about certain specific seasonal products, so, okay, which are required only for a particular season or a particular duration of time. Civic amenities, yes, you want to be base your facility at a place where there are all civic amenities, like you have a good supply of water facility, power we have already discussed, you have good hospitals or medical emergency units nearby, good law enforcing agents like police station. Whenever you want to start a new enterprise, the facility that you should choose should be very near to some uh, civic amenities, like as I told you, water supply. Then police station. Now why does the police station security systems nearby, the local security systems which are a part of the local government, correct, they are also equally important. So you don't want to be in a place where no there is no law enforcing agents nearby, correct. Doctors, for example, medical facilities, you might have an in-house doctor in your company, but you require a medical facility which will, in case some emergency happens, you require facilities where you can admit the workers or give them first aid. So these are also equally important. Civic amenities, correct. Also, you want places which where we have uh, good places to have your recreational activities. That is also equally important. You need to have places like parks, public places where you can meet, so that it gives uh, motivation to the workers to work further. So even those are required. Availability of water and other firefighting facilities is firefighting equally important. In case of say any emergencies, you require firefighting facilities also. So all these things will come under the factors. As I told you, these are not based on priorities. So each one is important in its own right. Existence of complementary and competing industries. Now, why this is important is your organization cannot run alone. So existence of complementary here refers to organizations which deal with products which are complements to you. For example, if I'm manufacturing say pens, for example, pens, I'm into pen manufacturing, pens, stationery. So a complementary unit will be, say, the company which manufactures ink, for example, ink or refills, correct, or say books, for example, books, correct. So these are all complementary items which go with one another. The more the sales of pen, more will be the sales of the refill or the ink. Similarly, stationary items, houses, for example, if I construct more number of houses, definitely the demand for cement, bricks, etc. will also, structural components which are required for the building the base of the construction, they also will increase. So if there is an increase in the demand of say houses, Obviously, there will be an increase in the demand of the complementary items which complement with that complement. For example, mortar, cement, bricks, and maybe interior decorators. Interior decorators, yes, services of interior decorators, architects, right? Contractors, civil structural workers, correct? All these things will, so these are complementary. And what are competing industries? Competing industries are competitors who are into the same product but different companies, or ones which actually are dealing with substitutes, something that can substitute your product and yet give you the same function. So this is the difference between complementary and competing industries. Procedure for selecting a facility location. Now first is deciding on the criteria. So what criteria am I evaluating for evaluating the location? We have seen some factors in the previous slide. So out of this, which criteria or which factor am I giving the most importance to? So some organizations might give rank 1 or top priority to proximity to market. Some other organizations may say, for me, more than proximity to market, proximity to suppliers will come first. So they will have probably suppliers, nearness to suppliers as their number one factor. Third company might think, no, that is not important for me. For me, the most important is how the availability of power, for example, availability of power. So they will rank availability of power as one. So first you have to first establish what is the criteria, identify factors which are important in which rank, identify and list the factors in a particular order with ranking, develop alternatives, keep an alternative plan in action, develop alternatives, evaluate these alternatives, and then select a location. So we'll take a problem and apply all this procedure and understand how the selection of a particular facility is done quantitatively. So just go through these 5 points. So these are the 5 major points step by step which have to be undertaken before you select a facility location. What are the different methods for selecting facility location? The most important or the most commonly used, most popular method is the factor rating method. Second is the center of gravity method. And third one is the transportation method. So these are the three basic methods which are used for selecting facility locations. Factor rating, center of gravity, and transportation method. So factor rating takes critical factors into account and gives them a particular rank, and the final score will determine which of the alternatives of locations you are going to choose. Center of gravity is a quantitative technique which makes use of coordinates, x and y coordinates, when drawn in a graph. And transportation method is the allocation method that we use in operations research, OR. Transportation method is a very common or a very popular method which we use in operations research to establish a particular location. What are the methods? We have already discussed. Factor rating system. What is factor rating system? It's a means of assigning quantitative values to all the factors related to each decision alternative and deriving a composite score that can be used for comparison. When we take up a problem and apply this factor rating, we will understand it better. What is the procedure for factor rating system? We just list down it. First step is to develop a list of relevant factors. As I told you, different factors have to be identified. So what you consider as relevant factor might not be of much relevance to say some other person. So you have to be very clear when you make a list of these relevant factors. Assigning a weight to each factor to indicate its relative importance. You assign a particular weightage based on which of these factors is important. If I feel availability of power is the most important factor, I will assign the maximum weightage to that. If I feel the second factor, that is proximity to market, is the most important, the highest weightage will be given to the second factor, and so on. So This is the second step in factor rating system. Third is assigning a common scale to each factor. Then score each potential location according to the designated scale and multiply the scores by the weights. Now total the points for each location and choose the location with the maximum points. So these things, the how your factor rating system is assigned and how you arrive at a particular facility location, that we will understand in the next session.